Welcome to Star Wars Uplink, a podcast feed surrounding and celebrating Star Wars. Join Rex Overdrive and Adam Cook in discussing what's going on in a galaxy far, far away. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Star Wars Uplink. This week in particular is a special one. Man, today was extraordinary for me. Man, it was like Christmas again. But here I am once more, joined by Adam Cook.
Yeah, hello.
How you doing?
I'm doing good. Better now that trailer's out.
Right, man. I mean, usually Star Wars will announce their trailers kind of a little bit in advance, but this one they announced it yesterday, less than 24 hours. It was like 18 hours in advance. Premiered it on Good Morning America. And then,
Great Morning America.
Yeah, Great Morning. But yeah, what'd you think of the trailer?
I loved it. I thought it showed us a little bit more of what we already saw, and not too much. So we kind of got to see a little bit more of the faces of who was going to be in here. Give us a little bit of anticipation for, what these characters are going to be. And I think anytime you have a group of characters, kind of like a band of misfits, or the way that they're presenting this, there's going to be a little bit of anticipation as far as what each character is going to be like. So get to see each one kind of do his own thing, whether it be shooting guns or fighting with a bow staff or crossbow or whatever. But I think overall, it looks to be like it's going to take us on a pretty wild adventure. So I'm pretty excited about it.
Right. For me, like the previous two trailers, the first teaser, and then 1 or 2 months ago, we got the first official trailer. Those were almost pretty similar. That second trailer kind of just expanded on what we already saw.
Right.
And in this trailer, they really showed a lot more footage that we have not seen.
Right.
And one of the big things that I noticed in this trailer is that they didn't portray Jyn as just a tough, rebellious woman. They really gave her some emotional moments in this trailer, and just the way the trailer started out with, it gave us that flashback scene, which...
Yeah, her father.
Yes, and I mean, aside from the short clip of Rey as a little girl on Jakku, I mean,
right.
This has got to be the first real scene of a flashback in a Star Wars movie.
Yeah, that for me, I think, looking at the entire trailer as a whole, if I'm going to isolate like one moment where I maybe got a little bit too much, I think it's that kind of reveal of, like, that's a major character development.
Oh yeah,
detail right there. Having her father be involved with the plans for the Death Star, the design for the weapon on the Death Star.
Right.
So going into the movie already knowing that, that's one less thing that I'm going to be able to kind of go, oh wow, that's complex, or that's interesting. So little disappointed with that, but at the same time, it really adds a sense of urgency as far as why she's willing to go to the lengths that she is to get the job done. So it adds that do or die.
Right. And we all know in advance kind of what this movie was going to be about, but
right.
They had to drive this movie with that emotion and get us invested in these characters. And it looks like they're doing that.
Yeah, I mean, they're basically showing clips and glimpses of each character, whether it be facial expressions or showing them in action. You kind of get a feel for what type of role they're going to play in the movie. You know, there's some of the expressions you kind of feel like they're either going to be a badass or they're going to be maybe funny, or maybe the collective group will have a sense of humor as well. I'd imagine there's going to be some kind of comic relief in the film, but you know, probably a little too early to tell. Aside from like the witty comments, you know, I think we'll get plenty of those as well with these types of rebel, you know, these rugged scoundrels. We might have a few of those types.
Right. All right. So you said your kind of least favorite moment of the trailer was kind of just the, you know, just the showcase of the relationship between Jin and her father, Galen. But
right.
I mean, I completely agree with you. It's not that it looked bad or anything like that. It's just I wish that moment was kind of, you know, held off and we saw it in the theater. So,
yeah, sure. It's not a Luke, I am your father moment by any means, but at the same time, it's a pretty important detail of who she is and why she's doing what she's doing. And I think that's a major plot element. That's motive. And I think that motive is nice to discover when you're first initially watching it in the theater, as opposed to already knowing the character's motive from the trailer, you know? So,
right.
But, you know, they'll go deeper.
Yeah, they will. And, we also know that her mom, Jin's mother, will at some point be in the movie, so they did save that. So
nice. I did not know that. So
right. So we'll just have to sit tight with that one. But what were some of the highlights of this trailer for you? What did you really enjoy?
Yeah. So I have two favorite moments. The first of which would be Ben Mendelsohn using the word power.
Oh, and just the way he said power too. I was like,
because
holy
you know
shit.
that totally sounds like another particular Star Wars character who used the phrase unlimited power.
Right.
And one of my favorite lines of all time. So I was really happy to hear that word come out of his mouth. And I think it's very suiting for, you know, an Imperial of his rank to, and especially if you're in charge of the Death Star, then of course you're going to be all about power.
Well, and he was saying that to Darth Vader too.
Of all people, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So on that note, I want to just talk about, okay, so we don't really know where Director Krennic falls in rank with like Darth Vader, Grand Moff Tarkin.
Right.
He's the director, I guess, of the Death Star. Overseeing the production.
Yeah, that's what I would imagine. Is he's in charge of implementing the plans, and he's probably in charge of making sure they're on pace to complete it, because we all know what happens to people when they fall behind schedule when they're, you know, getting that weapon operational.
Right. Yeah, you know, the Emperor is sending Vader over to the Death Star to oversee it being operational.
Yeah, and you know that we know that the weapon being operational doesn't require the Death Star to be completely finished. The weapon is probably the priority. So really, as we saw in Jedi, you basically only need like half a Death Star to be able to have an operational weapon. So yeah, Krennic is probably going to get it. And that was going to be my second favorite. Was there's a clip of Vader approaching him. Pretty swiftly. And he looks like he's going to destroy or do something. So
yeah, he had some pep in his step.
He had some serious pep in his step.
Yeah.
He had
Well,
some force in his step, if you
yeah,
will.
no pun intended.
Yeah, plenty of pun
Yeah,
intended
plenty of
there.
pun intended. But was there anything else in particular?
um, well, I mean, I think I liked all of the different character shots. Just the look of it, like really just seeing some of the shots as they compare to The Force Awakens, because The Force Awakens had a real J.J. Abrams look to it, and I think this one has just some different angles and some different different cinematography to it, where you see some of that darkness come through, or not even darkness, but more just like silhouettes. Like it's not necessarily like a filter over the screen, it's more just like the angle that they shot it and the lighting. And I think it really gives it a lot of like immersive effect, where you feel like you're watching something that could be Oscar worthy, or it just feels like you're watching a piece of art rather than watching a real like popcorn movie. So
Right.
that for me, like just the overall look and some of the shots, like the grandeur of the ships flying by over the planet. There's a really nice overhead shot where they show like this big landscape of this planet, and the ship is just kind of like hovering way down below. And although it's not highlighting anything other than just like the planets, and I think that's a direction they got to continue to go in as they release more movies. Is you made a point last one about we want to see more planets, and maybe we'll get some of that with Rogue One, and that I think that would be great, especially in the standalones. A great venue for that.
Right. Along with like the film look of this movie, it has a very, like you said, Oscar worthy look to this film. It's very cinematic looking. Like the Force Awakens was, that movie looked great, but at moments it was just very bright, and everything, you know, it was a very I don't know, just a welcoming film. Like it's something easy to get into, and it will grasp you. This is something a little dark and gritty, something a little more grounded in just, I know, going back to like war movies. It just has that feel to it. And just like you said, the landscape shots that they captured for this movie, it's just, I mean, that's one of my favorite parts. Seeing in this trailer is just the opening shot with the beach, where we see the Imperial transport ship flying overhead, and you can see the asteroid belt kind of up in the sky, hovering over the planet. Just things like that are just beautiful, and I love that they're bringing things like that into Star Wars. And like the shot of, it's almost like if they're in just the sky with the same level of the clouds, and you can see the Death Star,
Oh yeah.
the
Oh
silhouette
yeah.
in the background. It just looks so freaking good.
Yep. Yeah, the music too. I mean, I think this is not John Williams. Is that
No, it's Michael Giacchino.
so Michael Giacchino, like I really like his take on the theme. Like you kind of have the same like um the same Star Wars theme, but it's like slowed down, and it's made big and epic. So you kind of have the same notes that you'd hear in that, but in a way that fits the tone of the movie. And I think that's another thing. The cinematography alongside the music, you're getting something that's a little bit more appropriate for the type of film it is, as opposed to Force Awakens. John Williams was very, his scores are always have a lot of flutes, and especially when you look at something like Ray's theme or something like that, where or scenes with BB-8 where they're very light and they're very very light in tone, light in color to the look. But yeah, the music for me, I think this movie is going to have a great score to it, as they always do. But with all the action that we're going to get with it, it's really going to bring it.
Mm-hmm. All right, so let's go into a shot-by-shot analysis of the Rogue One trailer. All right, so we get that first shot of that Imperial transport flying over, and I presume that's headed towards Jyn and Galen Erso's home, where Director Krennic confronts Galen. But yeah, that shot just looks so good. Yeah, along with that asteroid belt hovering over in the sky, that looks so good.
Those little machines there, they almost look like they could be like moisture farming
I think they
machines,
are.
like you'd see on Tatooine, but it's obviously not Tatooine.
No.
But that's what it kind of reminded me, that that's such a flashback shot of them standing there looking at the horizon with that machine there. It's just a different terrain, though.
Right. I think they filmed that shot in Iceland.
Okay.
And then we see Director Krennic approaching with his Death Troopers, walking towards Galen. And those, I just want to see those guys in action, because this group of stormtroopers, I guess, the Death Troopers, I think they're supposed to be like the most elite group of troopers in the Imperial's military division. So they should be pretty badass.
Are they more for his protection, or are they for...
I honestly don't know. This is the first we've seen them in a Star Wars movie, so
all right,
should be pretty interesting. We also get Jyn Erso as a young girl hiding in the bushes as Krennic confronts Galen. And one thing in the synopsis for the Rogue One novel, Catalyst, they talk about how Galen is indebted to Director Krennic. At some point, Director Krennic saves Galen and the rest of his family. So Galen must owe Krennic something. So he has to go, help with the completion of the Death Star. And just Ben Mendelsohn, man. He's so good.
Yeah, he's going to be a very hateable character.
Oh, yeah. I mean, pretty much everything he's in, he's always that shitty guy.
Yeah, he does it so well.
Yeah.
I remember watching, if you compare, Joaquin Phoenix and Gladiator, someone who just totally gets under your skin. I think that was the first time I saw a performance where I was like, man, he was so good at being such a turd,
Right.
And which is great for Star Wars, because when they do that, especially with Vader, you get a ton of satisfaction out of seeing that guy just get force choked or something like that. Like, it's just so funny.
Right.
It's awesome and it's funny at the same time.
Yeah, I think he's going to be one of my favorite Star Wars villains of all time. I'm really looking forward to seeing what he does in this movie.
Definitely more so than Hux.
Yeah. Hey, maybe Hux will do a little bit better in episode 8, but let's carry on. All right, so our next interesting shot is Jyn in an Imperial cell with the stormtroopers sitting outside. Which in the first trailers for Rogue One, I always wondered, why are they reaching out to this girl who just seems to be rebellious and gets into trouble? Why does the rebellion want this girl? So now that we know who her father is and what his role is, and they must go out of their way to break her out of this Imperial prison cell, which we get to see a little bit of that in the trailer. And some more gorgeous shots of Jeddah. I'm really stoked to see what this planet Jeddah is like. And it's supposed to be a very Jedi religious planet, which Donnie Yen's character, Chirrut, I don't really know how to say his name quite yet, but I believe he is a strong believer in the Force. He's not Force sensitive, but he takes it as a religion. And we get to hear him say a few things in the trailers about the ways of the Force and things like that. All right, so you touched a little bit about this, but that one shot over, I think it's just a desert plain on the planet Jeddah. We see the tiny U-wing floating over the landscape, and we get to see a mountain range, and that's not just any ordinary mountain range. That looks like a fallen statue of a Jedi. Did you notice that?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I don't really know what to make of it. I don't really know who that's of and what the lore is behind that at all.
I think it's just a symbol that on this planet it's one of the religions that the people believe in, or that just people flock to this planet to believe in the Jedi and participate in just the religion of the Force. But yeah, I doubt we'll ever find out which Jedi that was. It looks like the guy has like a beard and mustache. I doubt it's Obi-Wan, but it's just a sweet shot, and Gareth Edwards knows how to shoot scale.
Yeah, the shot reminds me of the one of the early trailer shots of Episode 7 where Rey was riding that little speeder, and they had that big Imperial. That Imperial, what do they call it?
Star Destroyer.
Star Destroyer. Yeah, that crashed Star Destroyer on Jakku.
Yeah.
That was a great shot. This one kind of reminds me of that, only more of a bird's eye, like aerial view.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and if you kind of look closely for the detail, you can see kind of like the exhaust streams behind the U-wing. But great shot. And then we get a little bit more of the rebellions at I presume it's on the Yavin base. So I think we're going to get 4 planets in this movie, man. We're going to get the planet that Jyn and Galen live on when in the flashback scene. We get Jeddah. And then we get Scarif. I think that's Scarif. It's the beachy jungle planet.
Yeah.
And then, is there one more? Am I blanking here? I think that's it. Maybe it's just 3. I guess that's kind of usually how Star Wars does it, is 3 planets per movie.
Right.
So
it's probably enough.
Yeah.
I mean, especially considering 3 of those were not in the prequels or the original trilogy. Right. So yeah. I mean, you're treading new ground, new territory. To throw a lot out there would be, we want new. Don't get me wrong, we want new, but gotta maintain a little continuity here, given that the story takes place within the confines of the saga.
Right. Well, and I want to be able to spend a little bit of time on each planet. I just don't want to go to a planet for 5 minutes of the movie and just move on.
Right.
Right. So
Agreed.
yeah, so we get to see a little bit of the Empire on. I'm not sure what planet this is. I don't know if it's Jeddah or something else, but it's a raining scene. We get to see director Krennic and Galen Erso on a platform. And then next we get to see that awesome silhouette of the Death Star with the clouds in front of it. And that's just beautiful.
Yeah, hopefully they have some nice pounding music playing on that shot, like just to give it a little bit of sustain, like just to make it epic.
Right. And they're really doing a great job of making the presence of the Empire known in this movie, with the Star Destroyers hovering over Jeddah, and just the stormtroopers that are taking occupation within the city or village in Jeddah. You know, I mean, aside from the ones we see on Tatooine, you know, where Obi-Wan Kenobi says, these aren't the droids you're looking for. You don't really get to see just regular stormtroopers just patrolling, you know?
Right.
Aside from like on Star Wars Rebels.
Right.
So that should be pretty cool.
You have to accept, or you have to realize that the Empire is everywhere.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, this was the Republic, which is basically everybody, you know, aside from some of the outer rim, you know, where it's less densely related to the Republic, a little more. There's those outliers out there, a little more outlaws, as you could say, but the Empire's everywhere, and that's why it's such a daunting task to be a rebel and to be, you know, we're talking David and Goliath.
Right. Even larger than that.
Larger than Goliath.
All right, so the next major scene, not major, but we get to see Riz Ahmed's character. I don't know what his character's name is, but he's a former, I think, TIE fighter, or somewhat of like a tech specialist for the Empire, something like that. I think he's a pilot, but he may have just been a tech specialist. But his uniform, he has an Imperial patch on the shoulder, but we get to hear him say the call sign Rogue One.
Oh yeah.
Did that feel a little bit on the nose?
Yeah, a little bit. It was a little cheesy. I didn't need it to be in there.
Yeah, but we are hearing it all out of context. So I mean, within the movie, it might be completely fine, but just in the trailer, it was
right.
Yeah, I can agree with you on that, but I'm not gonna make a fit about it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's something I can't recall them ever doing before. Like, they didn't say like, well, I guess they did say there has been an awakening in The Force Awakens.
Right, yeah.
But I don't recall anyone saying like, you know, there is a Phantom Menace or
right.
You know, like directly using Rogue One is different because it's a call sign. So I mean, yeah, they're probably gonna say Rogue One. You know, they kind of have to. It'd be worse if they didn't, I guess.
Right.
So it's fine.
Yeah. All right. So now we get to some of the meat and potatoes of the trailer.
Mm-hmm.
Next shot is director Krennic talking to Darth Vader. And yeah, just like we spoke several minutes ago, just the way he's talking to Vader just makes me very interested to see the dynamic between these two and how they talk to each other. Because you know Vader's you know, he has his doubts, I'm sure, about Director Krennic and the completion of the Death Star. So yeah, I'm just really excited to see these two interact together. I think it's going to be a real treat.
Do you think it would be a lot to ask to want to see a little bit of ties in Vader's in the way he acts, or at least in some of the dialogue, like something that ties back to episode 3, like say he mentions Padme, or he, you know what I mean, like, do you think that there'll be any ties as far as dialogue with Vader or the plot or anything like that reference episode 3?
No. I think
Not even at all.
no. I think if they brought up, if he mentioned, because this is Vader in full force. This is prior to his knowledge of Luke even existing.
Oh, true.
So once he meets Luke, then he has that character arc where he is eventually redeemed. But this version of Vader is the hard ass, the
Yeah.
the ultimate version of Vader that takes no shit. So I think if they said anything about Padme, like, people would erupt.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess when you think about his transformation and him accepting that Anakin was destroyed, at this point, you know, he's made that commitment. He's fully invested, and he's still craving power. You know, I think that was his transformation was into someone who wanted that absolute power and was gonna do anything he could to have it.
Right. I would like to see some ties of dialogue to episode 4.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm interested to see how we're going to leave seeing Vader in the end of this movie. Like, are we going to see him busting through the door on Princess Leia's ship? Something like that. I think that'd be pretty rad, but that might be cutting it too close.
I think for me, like, looking at this trailer, I think I know I'm going to be pretty happy with the film, but what they could do, like the potential, a really successful, if they do this really successfully, they could even make episode 4 a little bit better. Like, if they, by setting it up and by adding some depth, because that's one thing that episode 4, I'll always appreciate it for what it was. No disputes about it being groundbreaking and revolutionary and everything else, but they have an opportunity here to add depth to that and to change the way we perceive it when we watch it. So you could go back and you could watch that one or the entire trilogy following and have maybe a little bit slightly different experience after this.
Right. Hopefully we'll get to know some of the characters that will be on Alderaan. I know Jimmy Smits is coming back to reprise his role as Bail Organa. I think he might just have a little role in this movie. He might be part of the panel that's at that that meeting at, I believe, is on Yavin. But yeah, hopefully we get to see some characters that will they'll have to get blown to smithereens on Alderaan, and it'll make that moment in episode 4 when we see Alderaan get blown to smithereens. It'll make that moment more special.
Right, you'll have some faces to the name of Alderaan. Yeah, definitely.
Yep. All right, so right after we get to see the glorious shot of the Death Star, after Vader and Krennic speak, there's a person that's walking towards, we can kind of see blurred in the background, Director Krennic, and a few faces turn to this person as he's walking. Is this Grand Moff Tarkin. It's a quick shot. I mean, it makes sense that he would be in this movie, but the guy who we're talking about, he looks a little too young, because this takes place like right before A New Hope. So
Right.
I kind of have my doubts that this is him, but I wouldn't be surprised at all.
Yeah, that's hard to say. I'm gonna plead the fifth on that one. I don't think I can. I don't
Yeah.
think I can say.
Yeah. A little too early to judge, I guess.
It is. It is.
Yep.
I hope so.
Yep. All right. So next shot, we get a nice look at ATST on Jeddah, firing some blaster shots at some. It looks like just some civilians on Jeddah, but yeah, like we said earlier, you're really getting that presence of the Empire, showing their occupation on this planet.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's awesome to see those back, you know, at AT-ATs in the original trailer, and then, you know, I think since Empire and Return of the Jedi, I think like that's really setting the timeline where, you know, that's another reference. Vader's one, the Death Star, and then on these planets, we're on a new planet, but these are familiar enemies, stormtroopers and these machines. You know, it really puts you right where you need to be.
Yep, that's the way they got to do it. Is just you got to reinvent it, but bring in some familiar elements. You know.
Yep.
All right, we get to see Saw Gerrera and his mechanical legs.
Oh yeah,
very reminiscent to I guess not Darth Maul, but Maul in the Clone Wars series and Star Wars Rebels on Disney XD. This guy, he's been through hell and back, I guess, you know.
Looks like it. I'm curious to see kind of how much time he gets on camera, and you know what his role is exactly. You know, is it similar to, I'm not sure the actor's name, but at the opening scene of The Force Awakens, there's that British actor that he.
Oh yeah. He's not British, but okay. I think he's Swedish. But yeah, he has a very his accent is very British-esque.
Great actor, and he, you know, that was kind of a cameo, and he was, you know, with Poe Dameron in that scene, and seemed to know or be involved with the Jedi somehow, and I almost wonder, you know, I assume maybe he died. I guess did they even say whether or not he died in that scene? Did we get confirmation at all?
No,
he could come back, and this is deviating a little bit from the trailer, but that's one thing you know, that could happen. But his I wonder if his involvement there is, are we going to get something short and sweet like that from Forrest Whitaker, or are we going to get something that you know, that's heavily involved?
Right.
I don't know.
We haven't seen Saw Gerrera in any like action sequences or anything like that. He's kind of just been in a room talking.
Yeah, and really all we've seen is him in that room, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that same I don't know, it looks pretty tattered. A pretty tattered room. So there is a shot of him later on in the trailer where he's talking about the rebellion and dreams. I don't remember the exact quote, but
right.
Let's carry on. We get to see these rebels running through the jungle on, I think the planet is Scarif. I could be saying that wrong, but yeah, that planet is maybe one of the ones I'm looking forward to most, is just seeing this jungle and tropical planet in a Star Wars movie. And this is the planet that we get to see those I think in this movie they're called ACTs.
Oh.
I don't remember what the difference is between them, but I mean these models are, I guess, an older version than the ones we see on Hoth.
Yeah.
And we get to see a little clip of Cassian Andor, Jyn Erso, and K2SO in disguise, probably most likely on the Death Star.
Yep.
It's got to be pretty close to the end of the movie.
Yeah, you'd think. Provided this is her being involved in the fight, like the those dogfights with Han Solo and Luke and the Rogue Squadron.
Right. And I guess another one of my favorite moments from the trailer is when Cassian Andor says, I don't remember how he phrases the line, but it's turn 10 men into 100, something along those lines. I loved that line. And it really represents hope, that even with their small numbers against the entire empire, they still have faith that they can accomplish the mission.
Yep.
A few more shots of some fight sequences. Space battles in Rogue One. TIE fighters, X-Wings. We didn't get any of that in The Force Awakens. I guess we got Finn and Poe in that TIE fighter being attacked by other TIE fighters, but
right.
Yeah, this is gonna be pretty epic. It's gonna be very reminiscent to episode 4, I think,
Oh yeah.
But is Porkins going to be in this one? You know Porkins?
Porkins.
The fat X-Wing pilot and
Dude, Matt Parkman from Heroes?
No, episode 4.
No, I don't remember. Porkins?
Yeah.
No.
Okay. Moving on.
What about this whatever it is crashing into the ground with this big like explosion?
Yeah, I don't know what that is. Because in the previous trailer, there was a shot where it looked like the U-wing with Cassian Andor and Jyn Erso. It looked like they were having to like outrun like an explosion. Are we gonna see Jeddah being blown up by the Death Star? And
I don't know. I mean, when you look at the shot, like it could be. Is that her standing there watching it?
Yeah.
Or is that just a bystander?
I don't know.
But it looks like it could be a beam of like a laser coming down, as opposed to like a Star Destroyer or something crashing. Like, it doesn't really look like something crashing. It looks more like, like a Death Star, like a death ray.
Right. Yeah.
And then we've got Darth Vader approaching.
Yep. It walking towards in the fog or smoke. And you know what that platform reminds me of? That they're standing on?
Yeah, Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah, in Bespin.
Yeah.
It looks a lot like that, where we see
ooh, I forgot that was in Bespin.
Yeah, we get to see Han put in
That's right.
carbonite. It looks a lot like that. So
it does.
Yeah, I didn't notice that till just now.
We'll see.
Yep.
Great.
Yeah, that's pretty much the trailer.
Yeah, it's a great ending. It ends kind of climactically, and it leaves you hanging.
Right. I guess after breaking down the trailer, going kind of shot by shot, was there anything that you kind of missed?
Not really for me. I don't know. I think it lays it all out there for you. I mean, I think I know where they're going with it. I kind of have my expectations. They're kind of firmly set now. So, we're in the middle of October now. So, really, I think if this for me is enough for me to go into this and be super excited. I don't think I need any more.
Right.
But I'm pretty happy though. I think they did a great job with the shots and showing what they did, and
Right.
I have no complaints. You?
I mean, I watched the trailer probably like 10 to 12 times today, so I kind of paused on certain moments and kind of like took a close look. So I kind of already did this on my own just because that's just the nerd in me, and I wanted to see what other little like tasty nuggets or details I could find. But
Right.
along that note, like you saying that this is enough, stay away from the TV spots. If for you or any listeners out there, I'm sure just like the Force Awakens, they kind of showed some clips that weren't in the trailers, which
Right.
I think that no, that wasn't included. But yeah, they will reveal a few things. I don't think anything too spoilery,
Right.
but they'll
Well,
reveal a little
and
bit more.
and the TV spots for me, and I think it's been true of at least of the Force Awakens, that the bonus features when they release the Blu-ray and DVD, a lot of the bonus features are the content that they had in the TV spots, and that's true of a lot of movies that are out there. So for me, I know I'm gonna get like the deluxe edition or whatever because I want all that extra content. So I don't want to sit down and watch the extra content and be like, damn, this is all just that crap that I watched on the TV spots before the movie even came out.
Yeah.
So I want to see stuff that's fresh, that's going to be background, that's going to be like, the inside stuff, not just stuff that's promo.
Right. I agree. All right, so I think that's going to do it for episode 3 of our podcast. We both loved the trailer. There's a few things that, we wish they would have held off on showing, but overall, we dug the trailer. We're pumped for the movie. Can't wait for it. But yeah. Guys, go ahead and head over to iTunes. Subscribe to iTunes. That would help us out tremendously. And if you enjoyed this podcast, please leave a review and rating. That would help us out a great deal. Also, head over to Twitter. Follow us on Twitter so you can keep up to date when we post new podcasts. Also, you can head over to my YouTube channel, just youtube.com/RexOverdrive. I posted a tasty trailer review over on there. Adam, you need to check that out. Let me know what you thought of my video.
Extra tasty.
Yeah, but that's it for this episode, guys. Thank you for listening.